Welcome to Wellsprings of Faith. My name is Father Jürgen Leas. I'm a Roman Catholic priest and assisting on the staff at St. Patrick's in Stoneham, our neighboring community. Our program, Wellsprings of Faith, is a show about the religious faith, a person's journey in faith, and the fruit of that faith in the life of the world. Today, I'd like to welcome Father Jilson George. He is a Carmelite priest at the chapel, which is in the Northshore Shopping Mall in Peabody. It's kind of a famous place for a church in a shopping mall. We'll probably hear a little bit about its history, but wonderful to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, great. Now, before we get to some of the adventures of being a priest in a shopping mall, I'd really like you to share your own spiritual journey from your childhood, how you came to faith in Christ, and how you came into the priesthood.
I was born and brought up in a Catholic family in India. As you know, there are 1.3 billion people in India. Only 1% of them is Catholic.
How many are Christian? What percentage Christian?
Maybe 2 to 3%
2 to 3%. Okay.
is Christians.
Yes, right.
And half of them, like here, are Catholics.
Catholic, yes.
And Christianity dates back to the 1st century in India. Saint Thomas the Apostle came to India, in South India, especially in Kerala. I am from that state in South India. So our faith goes back to 2000 years. And my ancestors and my family members were Catholic, and they are still very good, devoted Catholics. And my parents influenced a lot my faith, my prayer life, and my vocation.
Wow. So your family goes all the way back
to St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. Yeah, in the scripture it doesn't say anything where many of the apostles went, except for St. Paul. We have some things.
Yes.
But there is a tradition that they divided up the world.
Yes.
And isn't there a apocryphal Gospel of Thomas?
Yes.
That talks about how he wound up going to India?
Yes. We believe that he came to India in AD 52, and then he, started 7 faith communities. And then he became a martyr in India. His tomb is still there in India, but his remains were taken to Rome at a later point.
Later period.
Yes.
How is he martyred? Do you know the story of that? Is there a story that goes with that?
There is a story that goes with it, and since he was converting Hindus to Christianity, one king was not happy with that, and then he got killed.
He executed him. Of course, some of that is still going on in India, right?
Yeah, some of them is still going on in India, in some parts.
Of this.
Yeah, where in some parts, Catholics are, a very small minority.
Yes.
And in such places, sometimes there is a persecution still.
It's still.
Yes.
Although technically India has freedom of religion, correct? And
India is technically, there is a freedom of religion, but 70% of India is Hindu. And now, they say that, Christians have so many Christian countries. The Muslims have so many Muslim countries. So why don't Hindus can have one country? Because, so there are people who think like that. And also, a Hindu majority party is ruling India. And there are many people who are, extreme and fundamental,
Right.
And so, even though 90% of Hindus are open-minded and very cooperative, 10% is a huge number.
We have sort of extremists in almost every religion.
Yes, every religion, and there is nationalism in every country.
And see it even in Christianity, tragically.
Yes.
Now, is it true that, that the Catholic Church in India, or the Christian church there, because that was the only church there was initially, was separated from the West and then and rediscovered sort of when the Portuguese came. Is that true, or did it have a continuing connection with?
From the beginning, there was India, the Catholic Church in India. See, when the church goes to a country, they slowly take many things from that culture.
Yeah.
So the Indian church, also took many things from Indian culture, but at the Middle Ages, the missionaries came from Portugal, and then they found many things which are not Catholic according to them, because we have already many things from the Indian culture was there.
Yeah.
So they thought this is not right. So there was an attempt from their part to purify the
really?
church, to get rid of all the Indian culture and make it purely Roman church. And there was some conflict at that time. Later, now there is the two traditions. One is the Oriental Rite, one is the Western Rite.
I see,
Yes.
I see, in terms of the liturgy. But both are in full communion with
Both are in full communion with Rome.
right?
Yes.
And what is the Syro-Malabar Church?
Syro-Malabar Church
That's
is
what you are.
is the Oriental Church goes back to the tradition of Saint Thomas.
Yes, I see. Where did the name Syro-Malabar come from?
Syro is Syriac,
Syriac.
and in the first centuries, the bishops from Syria came to India, and the liturgy also came from Syria. That is why that Syro is Malabar coast is the Kerala state.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's the state there.
So
Interesting.
so in our liturgy there is aspects of India as well as the Middle East.
Right,
So that is why it is called Syro-Malabar.
Syro-Malabar. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. So it's really fascinating to think that your family goes, all the way back to St. Thomas. I mean, all of us as Christians have some connection with him, but there's something about such a history that's rich. And your family has stayed devout Catholics, and you were brought up in a very devout.
Yes, I was brought up in a very devout
Yes,
Catholic family. We went to church, almost every day.
Really?
My
daily?
parents, until this pandemic, my parents also were daily communicants, and
Mass.
I was very active. I was an altar server, and I really liked what the priest was doing. And so when I was only 15 years old, I joined the seminary, and Carmelite Seminary, and and we had then all the training, completing high school, college, philosophy, theology, then novitiate training as a Carmelite. So altogether there were
What's the history of the Carmelites in that there?
Yes, our order was founded in 1831 by three diocesan priests. There was no religious order that started in India. So ours is the first one to begin in India.
In India.
And three priests, Father Thomas, and Father Thomas Palakal, Father Thomas Porukara, and now Saint Kuriakos Elias Chavra. They founded a religious order. At that time, the bishop was from Spain, a Carmelite bishop. So when they started, they received the Carmelite rule from the bishop.
Oh, I see.
And that is how our order from the beginning, how the Carmelite tradition, even though it was founded in India, and our founder was canonized a saint in 2016, a few years ago.
That recently?
Recently, yes.
Wow. That's fascinating. And what made you choose to be a Carmelite priest rather than just be an ordinary diocesan parish priest?
See, I read biographies of so many saints, and I liked to be a missionary away from my home, going and preaching the good news. So when we read the biographies of many Carmelite saints, they also had that desire to be a missionary, to go away from their home and proclaim the good news. And that was my desire too.
Oh,
So
I
I did not join in my state. I joined in another state where there are not many Catholics at that time.
Oh, I see. Well, the Carmelites are pretty, a movement that goes pretty far back. Of course, they claim some connection all the way back with Elijah, right?
Yes,
And
Old Testament.
Old Testament, and then
yes.
Mount Carmel. I've been on the top of Mount Carmel. Have you
Yes.
been to the Holy Land? ever?
I never been to
I've
Holy
been to the
Land.
top of
yes.
Mount Carmel
Yes.
many times. It's quite a beautiful spot, but that's where supposedly the tradition of
It
order
was
founded.
a few hermits started their hermitage there, and then they made one community, and they became the Carmelite community. And during the persecution, they went to the Europe, and that is how the Carmelite order
started.
started.
So you're 15. What did you have a sense of God speaking to you or calling you, or did you just want to be a priest? What was sort of the nature of your call at 15 years old?
Yes. See, I told you I was an altar server, and I always loved what the priest was doing, reaching out to people, bringing Jesus to them. And I had that love of the church and ministry, even as a child. And when I was 15, one thing that motivated was, when I see so many people with many struggles and difficulties, and when I saw the priests making a difference in their lives, I too wanted to make that kind of difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And that is why I joined. At that time, as a teenager, I wanted to fix the world. But once I joined, I realized that first I need to fix myself. That was a great realization, but that was the beginning of my growth.
Yeah, that is the beginning of real Christianity to begin. Like what Solzhenitsyn, you know who Solzhenitsyn was? The great Russian dissident and writer, Christian writer, who found the Christ when he was imprisoned by the communists. But he said the problem is you can't just put the good people over here and the bad people here and then get rid of all the bad people and the problem of good and evil will be solved. The problem is good and evil cuts through every heart.
Yes.
And so you've got to really do that inward work.
Yes. And also, my dad was very strict. I am the oldest in my family.
Oh.
So, but then, I had the image of God who is very strict and punishing. And I was so afraid that he's always sitting up there to find fault with me. But then, once I joined the seminary and started to study Bible, I realized he is not eager to punish, but he is eager to forgive. That was a very freeing experience for me. And also, it helped me to relate with others with much more kindness and compassion. And that is, the center of my ministry now, being kind and compassionate. And that is the most beautiful aspect of priestly ministry.
Tell me, when you finished seminary and were ordained,
I was ordained a priest in the year 2000.
Okay, so you...
then a couple of years I studied counseling in India. Then I came to Long Island, New York. I was working as an associate pastor in a parish in Long Island for 6 years. Then I went back to India for another 6 years, and I was in our Carmelite community there. And then I came back to the Diocese of Brooklyn in New York.
Oh.
And it was at that time that the Carmelites took over the chapel in the shopping mall. And then I came to Peabody 5 years ago.
What made you come to the States in the first place?
I wanted to continue my studies.
Yes.
So when I came, I continued my counseling studies in Long Island.
That was,
yes.
And you decided you liked it here. And stayed.
Then I went back and I was giving training, and then our community needed a priest here, so they sent me again.
Back to. Yeah. So let's talk a little. I started the show talking about the unusual ministry that you have as a chapel in it's not a parish church, but it's a ministry in a shopping mall. But tell us a little about the history of that chapel.
That is so beautiful. The Carmelite Chapel in the Northshore Mall goes back to 61 years.
61.
So that was the time that the mall began.
Yeah,
And
1960, yeah.
and the only store that is still remaining is the chapel and the gift shop.
Oh.
Everything else
Every
changed.
other store has
Changed.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So from the beginning, that
Yeah.
chapel was there. It was the idea of Cardinal Cushing.
Oh.
And he started the chapel in the mall, and he started the chapel in Prudential Center, at the airport, at the seaport.
Oh, those are all his vision.
All his
missionary vision.
Yes.
Wow.
He was so farsighted that
Yes.
all these places are still,
Yeah, they're still going.
doing wonderful ministry. And last 56 years, Oakham Fathers, Order of Carmelites, were taking such good care of that chapel. It was truly, in the marketplace, it was a place of silence and prayer. And there is such a great legacy by wonderful priests of Oakham.
Yes.
And then when those priests were getting older, they were looking for another order to take over. So in 2016, we took over that chapel.
But it was Carmelites from the beginning, right?
It was
Yeah,
Carmelites
but
from the
but a
beginning.
different
All
church.
the 61
Yeah,
years, it was run by
Wow,
Carmelites.
that's fascinating.
Yes.
So what goes on at a shopping mall church? What's sort of different about it, and what's the same about it?
Yes. See, even though it is in a shopping mall, everyone say it is truly a place of prayer. It is in the basement. There is no commotion. There is silence, and it is a very prayerful atmosphere. And the people who come there, they are also very prayerful. They don't come there for socialization.
Yeah, right.
They come there, because they have their parishes, and they come there for that experience of prayer. And we have celebration of the Holy Mass 2 times.
Twice a day.
Yeah, Monday to Friday, and on Saturday we have 3 times, noon Mass and then 2 vigil Masses. And during this pandemic, we also had Sunday Mass at noon.
Oh, all right.
So every day the church was open, and usually nearly 100 people attend Mass every day.
Every day.
Some 30 to 40 people come there for confession every day. And that is what is so unique about our chapel. In the North Shore, our chapel is the only place where confession is available every day.
Every day.
And 2 times. So many people from North Shore, even from New Hampshire and Maine, they come to our chapel for confession on a regular basis. And that is a wonderful ministry. Some people come, after 40 years, 50 years. Some people come very often. So it is such a satisfying ministry to bring the mercy, kindness, and forgiveness and healing of Jesus to so many people.
So many people,
That is truly very satisfying, and also more than satisfying, it is nourishing to my soul. When I see that so many people filled with faith, filled with goodness, filled with the love of Christ, they come and they spend time in prayer. They open their heart with such a humility before God, and they find peace in His forgiveness, in His love. And that is such a great witness for me to see that every day. And that nourishes my spirit, my soul, brings joy to my heart.
It really is. I mean, it's similar to you. I find it's sort of the individual working out their salvation, and you're kind of a witness to the mystery of this God saving someone. Yes. We proclaim all that in a larger perspective as we preach and teach, but to see it in an individual soul, it's like the gospel of coming alive through an individual person.
And also I have seen many people coming there and finding Catholic faith. Even great theologian Scott Hahn used to come there and pray, and that chapel was instrumental for him to become a Catholic.
When he was at seminary and
Yes.
Around here, yes.
Yes.
Yes, he was up the road, yeah. Yeah, there's something, obviously one of the very distinctive things about Catholic Christianity is the confessional. I remember when I was an Anglican priest for 40 years, and we had confession, but nobody ever came. I would encourage it as a wonderful healing sacrament to meet God, but very few people came. But one of the wonderful parts of being a Catholic priest now is the ministry of the confessional, and just and like you, there's something unique about the chapel, because there is a little bit of anonymity that people.
Yes, there is anonymity.
And I know that I go to a lot of different churches to supply, being semi-retired as a priest, and very often people will come to me wanting to make confession because I'm a bit of a stranger and an outsider. But that's wonderful, though. It's they're making it really accessible for people.
Yes.
Yeah. What other things go on at the chapel besides the confession and Mass?
We have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament every day after the noon Mass and before the 3 o'clock Mass. And we can see many people praying in front of the Blessed Sacrament in silence. And
so adoration is available every day for
every day.
2 hours
Yes.
in the afternoon. That's good to know.
Yes. And before the pandemic, we had a communal sacrament of healing every first Saturday.
Oh.
And we will begin that again.
Resurrect that.
Yes. And then there is a men's prayer group. There is a lay Carmelite association that come there and make use of the facility in such a beautiful way. So, and every now and then we see people coming from they come to the mall and they stop by and find some deepening of their faith and finding comfort and going back. And also we have a beautiful gift shop of religious articles.
Yes.
These days that is a rare place, because in the North Shore there are not many places like that where you can buy rosaries and where you can religious articles and gifts, and that has been going on so well for more than 60 years.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's remarkable to think that it's the only, quote, store selling the treasure from heaven, the pearl of great price, rather than other stuff that people shop for. But but it's wonderful that it's been going on so long. Tell me, being from India, obviously one of the things that's been in the news a lot is the pandemic in India. Do you? How I assume you have contact with family and other acquaintances. How are things coming along there?
See, from the beginning of pandemic, India was doing well, and we had the lockdown like here, but not many people got seriously sick. And if somebody gets sick, usually they have a few symptoms and then they get well soon. And people were not bothered about pandemic for a long time. People used to get it, and not many people died.
Yeah.
And somehow it was going on until the April of this year. For the more than the first 1 year, it did not affect India that much. We did not have a big surge like we had in the United States. But so people became so callous and careless, and they were not using masks, the big gatherings. And when the new variants started to spread, they were very contagious and very deadly.
Oh.
And from April, the new variants started to spread in India. Now we call them Delta variant.
Yes.
And that was very deadly and very contagious. And around 400,000 people got sick day after day, every day.
Every day.
Every day. So when so many people become sick, your hospital system, your medical system is not able to, take them in.
Yeah.
And many people died. They are still dying. But the peak, we have reached the peak, and now the
is
numbers are
declining.
coming down very much, and things are improving. But that does not mean that they all say that there is a chance for another surge.
Yes.
Because only 10% of Indians are fully vaccinated. That is still, we are 1.3 billion. That is a huge number, but still, no.
Is that lack of access to the vaccine, or people not wanting a vaccine?
See, in the beginning,
Yeah.
there was not high demand for that because, people were not getting sick,
Right.
it was, so people did not take that seriously. But when it became, so contagious and deadly, everyone wanted. But at that time, we did not have, our medical system was failing. The number of demand was so high, and it was not, we were not able to deliver it in time. We were exporting it to other countries because there was no such demand. But then, now there is high demand, but it is very difficult to get into people's arms.
Oh gosh. It's been interesting going, as you and I both, with daily mass, we often go through the lives of the saints. And it's been particularly interesting this year to notice, it's not that the saints weren't there before, how many saints really, in a sense, rose to sanctity during pandemics and epidemics in the history of the Christian faith. And it was, I was actually reading one book that said that one of the reasons the Christian faith grew was when there were epidemics, all the people would flee the city, but the Christian would remain to take care of the sick and minister to them. I wonder if we can use this epidemic that also as a witness to the love of Christ and the care of Christians for the sick and the needy. And it's interesting.
I am sure, there were many people who reached out to others during this pandemic in so many ways. The priests going to anoint the people who had COVID-19 in the beginning. That was very scary. And then there were many people who did not have anything to eat. And, the Catholics, religious, they all reached out in many countries with such generosity and kindness and care. And this pandemic also showed one beautiful aspect of our faith. We all remember when Pope Francis made a prayer in the St. Peter's Square, all alone in the rain. He was going, and that was such an occasion of hope and coming together in prayer, and such an encouraging and giving, hope to the whole world.
Right. In the middle. Yeah, this is, a universal, I don't know if there's been anything in human history that's been so universal as this pandemic. Unfortunately, we're out of time. There are a lot of other things I'd love to speak with you about, but thank you, Father, for coming. And for those out there, if you want a place to, always available, masses in the Carmelite Center at the Northshore Mall at what time? 12 and 3 every day?
We have mass Monday to Friday, noon and at 3, and on Saturday at noon, 4 o'clock and 5:30 p.m.
And of course, as we spoke about, confession is always available, counsel from priests. So please avail yourself of this wonderful ministry that goes on there in the middle of Mammon, you might say. In the middle of Mammon, there is God working. And thank you for joining us for Wellsprings of Faith. God bless.